Hi, I'm Radiance and welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk to you about strength. You know, when we think about strength, what comes to mind is actually a documentary that I watched recently. It was on Arnold Schwarzenegger's life. I forgot the name of it, but I think it was called Arnold. But in that documentary, it highlighted his life. It actually started from his childhood, and it talked about how, you know, he got into bodybuilding. That was the first thing that, you know, he did. But the thing is, he had a mother, a father, and a brother. And when he got to a point where he started really training in bodybuilding, over the course of many years, and this is, you know, when he first started out and was an amateur to the point when he was in competition, one of the things that he did, and I would say he called it his strength, I believe, was he was super laser focused, right? Super laser focused, meaning that no matter what else was going on outside of his world, he was super focused. His focus was only on bodybuilding, only on competing, only on working out. I think so much so that for a while he didn't even date. I mean, he did end up later on, but he didn't even date. And at some point in the documentary, I'm not trying to give it away, but I'm just going to mention this. Some things happened with his family, you know, and, you know, some really, really big, deep things happened within his family. His father was a very tough, somewhat abusive figure. And, you know, his brother was somewhat the opposite of him in ways. And when things were happening in the family, things that would be traumatic to anyone or challenging, how he dealt with it was he didn't necessarily fully deal with it. He just kept focused on his goal. Yes, he may have dialed back a little bit and looked, you know, what was going on, but he literally focused on his goal. So I found it very interesting because when I looked through the rest of the documentary, he, you know, went on to compete and get bigger and get bigger. And he, you know, got some of the biggest titles, you know, that there was at the time to be a bodybuilder and be successful. And, you know, if you know anything about Arnold Schwarzenegger, later on in life, he went on to be an actor and he did other things, right? But the underlying thing I noticed is that his strength, and he drew strength from being focused. He didn't necessarily, you know, lean into emotion or lean into a response in that way. And I'm just giving you an example of sometimes how we function in this world, right? I'm not judging him. I'm not saying that you should not focus or you should lose your focus dealing with a family or anything of that nature or life's challenges. What I'm saying is that strength doesn't necessarily always mean that you keep your head down, you keep your eyes forward, you keep your blinders on, you don't look left or right, you look forward, and you don't deal with anything else, right? I think that over time, when we operate in that way, if that's the only way that you function and operate and deal with strength, then at some point, you close yourself off to, you know, the people outside of you. You close yourself off to really experiencing emotion. You close yourself off to, you know, even finding other ways to deal with life. Because here's the thing, there's not just one path, right? Just like there's not, you know, one, you know, roadway to get from, you know, New York City to Atlanta, right? There's different freeways and highways. There's back roads, right? There's not just one path to deal with life. And I'm here to tell you that strength can be, you know, different things. Being vulnerable enough to cry when you're hurt or you're feeling something, right? That is strength, right? Now, there is, I believe, much strength in vulnerability. And the reason why I say that is when we can take the time to actually be vulnerable with the right person, with the right people, right? When we can be vulnerable enough to share, that takes a lot of strength, right? It takes a lot of courage. And here is the value in that. If you can actually step inside your energy, right? And then step out of yourself and be vulnerable and share with someone else. The value in that is you don't know who you're helping, right? You don't know who you're helping by being vulnerable, but in that being strong, right? You help someone else to be strong because maybe you're showing someone else that, you know what, I'm going through the same thing you're going through, but in seeing you be vulnerable, it helps them to be stronger in their challenges, right? It helps them not to give up, right? It helps them to remind them that they're not alone, right? And to me, being vulnerable in that way, and in a way that you never know that may actually help someone, is a true strength. Getting help when you can't find your way is a strength, right? Now, I get it. I am, speaking for myself, I'm the kind of person that oftentimes wants to do it myself. I remember there was a time in my life where I convinced myself that I really didn't need any help. And honestly, the reason why that happened is not because I didn't want help, but it's because I felt like I was drawing from past experience, right? For example, I had a project, an assignment one time, and it was me and somebody else, and we were both supposed to, chip in and into this project. And the person lollygagged and, farted around and, effed around basically and didn't really do much, and I ended up doing it all myself. And I turned in the assignment. And this was a more personal situation. This wasn't a work situation. But either way, the person that gave us the assignment let me know that they knew that I did all the work, right? And with that being said, I took that and other circumstances of my life, and I started to become a person where I was like, oh, I got it. I can do it. And I convinced myself for a very long time that I didn't need help until I needed help. And so what happened was when I eventually came to myself and I let my guard down and I stopped taking the story of yesterday and the past, I'm going to be disappointed, I'm going to end up doing it myself anyway. I was able to get the valuable help that I needed, and actually I felt relieved. It took a weight off my shoulder, and I was able to get what I needed done in a timely manner, right? And I didn't have so much pressure on myself. So asking for help when you are stumbling, when you're challenged, when you can't always find your way is a strength. So ask for help. Facing yourself for your own BS and the mess that you created, which may be one of the reasons you're crying in the first place, is a strength. Taking responsibility for your actions, right? For the things that you have said or done, decisions you've made that have hurt and or affected others outside yourself, right? And also taking responsibility for those things that you said or did or decisions you made that affected you. Because sometimes in you affecting others, they then have a response that then maybe hurt you, right? And taking responsibility for that. No, it may not change the outcome. It may not change someone else's response, right? It may not change. It's not going to change what happened. But there is strength. There is so much strength in facing your own BS, in facing your own ish, in facing your own stuff, and taking responsibility, taking accountability. And when you do that, you can then go forward. You can then maybe heal yourself. You can then maybe had some healing. And even if it's that you never ever deal with that person, they don't want to deal with you, you can then maybe ask for forgiveness, right? And then maybe they can give you forgiveness. And you can, whether you get it or not, you can actually begin to work on your healing and work on, getting to a place where your next response, the next time, in the next circumstance, is something that's better, is something that's more positive, is something that will cause you to react and respond differently, right? And then bring about more positivity and change in your life. So that is a strength. So, strength, right? There is strength that we all have. I don't want you to feel that in any of the things I talked about, none of that is a weakness. None of that is weak, right? It is all strength. I want you to start to look at the effects and the cause that you did to cause the effects in your life. And then when you do the things I talked about, you can then start to be intentional about the things you do to cause a better and more productive effect in your life, right? So I hope this video was helpful. If so, give it a thumbs up, like the video, share it, and also comment. Comment right now for me what you're strong about, right? Where do you find your strength in, right? Where do you find your strength in, right? Maybe your strength is in your spirituality or your beliefs. Maybe your strength is in being vulnerable. Maybe your strength is in realizing that, you know what, I'm not always right. I did a video on that, by the way. You know, where is your strength, right? And then furthermore, you want more content like this and reminders of your greatness? Subscribe to the channel, click the link in my bio, and join my free VIP group. Come on over to community where we do remind you of the greatness that you are, the greatness inside of you, but we serve you more inspiration, right? More information, more enlightenment, and more love and support. So thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, be well, be great, be love.